tWoTcast, episode 279.
All right, everyone, shut the fuck up.
Wheel of Time, reread podcast, explicit and R freaking rated. Jono's the wild card, always talking shit. Joe's the straight man, he's a total dick. Tom calls in if he's not too busy. We are tWoTcast!
You're listening to tWoTcast, the Wheel of Time reread podcast, now covering Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time, Book 3, The Dragon Reborn! With me as always is Jono. And I'm Joe, and Tom is basically always here too.
Study your math. Study it.
Guys, it's been a very, very long time since it's just been us, kind of. Like, it's almost weird. It's almost weird not having someone on the show with us.
I keep waiting for you to introduce somebody. We only do this like for the 10 minutes before the guest shows up, basically.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And then also, like, I was thinking about it the other day, like, we haven't done like reading, watching, playing or anything like remotely related to that kind of like bullshit small talk before an episode in so fucking long. And I'm just like, I have no idea what they've been reading and watching and playing.
We always have to ask the
why don't we catch up on it?
Questions, and then we have to pretend that we care about the answers. And it's exhausting.
It's very upsetting.
That's the hardest part for me.
It's really mean to all our guests.
Yeah, we know. But they are not going to listen because they're not going to be... They're all self-centered.
Tell us about yourself. We can't wait to find out. Oh, great.
Jesus Christ.
You also like...
I know you're not serious, but at the same time, man, that's really mean.
I know.
Oh, I love it. Tom, what have you been reading?
I'll leave it up to the
what
viewers.
What have you been playing?
What am I reading? Just a book called XX. It's impossible to read.
So one short of porn.
No, it's just 20. 20.
Yeah. Much like Warrior of the Alta EE is like Warrior Alta 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not called 20. It's called XX. It's awesome.
What is it?
It's kind of a book about conspiracy theories and people trying to contact aliens and stuff like that. But it's by like this graphic artist. So there's like a lot of visual components to it. It's just a really weirdly kind of put together published book. It's fucking fascinating.
Interesting.
It like really brings in a lot of elements of graphic design and like the internet and things like that. It's pretty wild, but also hard to explain without you looking at it. But yeah, it's fucking awesome. That's what I'm reading.
Did that explain the UFO sigil above your head now? Have you?
Well, I'm not going to talk about it because no one can see us. So that's bad.
I mean, our viewers can see everything that's happening.
You just said viewers.
The terrible radio. This is the radio, right?
No, yeah, but the viewers can see it.
You know what killed the radio star?
Okay.
You know what's so fun? Who was it that asked us what our viewers were called? And then they said, we don't believe you. Oh, it was Ryan from Leafcast, I think. He said, what do we call our listeners? And then I said, we call them viewers. Yeah. And then he laughed and then he was like, no, you fucking don't. Like, and I was like, no, we didn't.
Yeah. It's good to know.
I just realized like that joke has fallen flat like for so long because every time we have a guest on, they like don't realize that this is, I mean, we tell them it's just an audio podcast, but we do have videos on. So to them, they're like, they don't get the joke sort of. So I haven't like said it in a while. It's kind of a weird joke to say in front of someone that doesn't get it. Cause then they're like, what? Wait, are they going to see this? You know, like they get all concerned. Like, I think I haven't showered.
It's hilarious that he thought we have like some code name for people that listen to the show.
Hidden name for the people that listen to the show. We do. We call viewers.
Some nickname.
You know, we talked about that like a million years ago when we first started the podcast. Like, what should we call our listeners? But we never really decided on anything other than just twats. I think twats was the thing that kind of came up. We talked about it a million years ago.
There was also idiots.
You know, I'll probably when I as I work my way through the episodes, you know, I'll probably find it eventually.
It was probably in today's episode. Did you reread that one or re-listen?
I didn't. John is calling me out. I already told him that. For the viewers that can't tell.
let's see here. So, Tom, we know what you're reading, and what are you watching?
I guess I'm rewatching Breaking Bad. I've got like 2.5 episodes to go, so this is really kind of getting into the way of the big finale for me.
Sorry about that.
I feel like that happens to you frequently. You'll be binge watching something, and then you'll have like an episode or two left, and you're like, "Why the fuck are we recording right now? I'm almost done."
I watched the first 2 episodes of WandaVision. Did you watch that?
I did, yeah.
It was underwhelming.
I was whelmed.
That's the new Wanda Patrick movie, right?
Huh?
Yes.
Wanda Sykes show. That's what it is.
Yeah.
You can do better than that.
I was trying to run with it, but you didn't say anything after that, and I was like, I got nothing to help you here.
Well, it said the wrong name too. Wanda. Huh. Anyway,
WandaVision's interesting. I found myself wanting the. I don't know. You know the episode 2 reveal of like the beekeeper, and like more stuff was kind of happening. Like I was like, I need that immediately. I don't need 30 minutes of like fake television. You know, like
I was even wondering, like, I guess I figured since the first episode was so slow, that's why they put out the first 2 at the same time. And then,
for sure. Yeah.
In the second episode, I'm like, also pretty much nothing happens.
Yeah. It's not that it wasn't like, it was entertaining in its own way, but at the same time, I'm like, I kind of need a little bit more going on.
Cody Solomon, Joe, the beekeeper.
Yeah, that's right.
He hasn't showered in forever.
Secret, no one's really supposed to know about this. His microphones aren't even plugged in. It's a deep cut joke. No one's going to get it. Tom's playing Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, as am I. Jono, what are you reading, watching, and playing?
I played Disney Arena too.
No one cares about Disney Arena.
I like it more.
I went through an entire reread of Joe Abercrombie. I'm right now about to start his new stuff. Like I didn't even know he started a new trilogy. I'm very excited about it. So I think the next one's called Little Hatred. Joe Abercrombie, I don't think that we've really talked about the series much.
We've talked about it a little as you've been reading it, but not like a ton.
Great author. Really kind of like in that kind of new dirty fantasy, which new is now 20 years old since Martin kind of thing. He's like pretty much don't love your heroes because they're not heroes kind of guy, but they're fun. Watching, let's see, obviously the new Jeopardy. That's been interesting. I'm not in love with Ken Jennings.
Is he permanent?
He's a guest host, so he's not bad. The problem is Ken.
Then you're not on New Jeopardy. You're on Interim Jeopardy.
No, I mean that's the current Jeopardy.
Yeah, but it's still interim Jeopardy until a new host is established. You know what they should do? Like the end of The Office, they should have like a bunch of new people come in as the boss, and then
that's what they're doing.
And then just listen to the audience, and then be like, "You're right. That guy is funny."
Tom, did you see who one of the guest hosts is going to be? It's going to be a week of Aaron Rodgers.
Wait, for real?
Yeah.
I don't even understand that.
No one does.
He has no potential to. He has no potential to become the permanent host.
Yeah, I think
that somebody popped up that I thought was interesting recently. I mean, I don't remember who it was. Maybe Tina Fey or something.
I would love Tina Fey. Does not bother me. I want something like LeVar Burton.
I heard that one.
Yeah,
I can't imagine Tina Fey doing that.
It might not have been Tina Fey. I just it was some woman's name, and I was like, oh, hey, she could be the new host. And I was like, or like she's guest hosting, and I was like, oh, she's great. She would be a great.
Why don't we get?
I have no idea who I was talking about.
Why don't we get Kevin Pereira to do it?
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Attack of the Jeopardy, they could call it.
With a question mark instead of an exclamation mark. Someone
says the question and gets it right, and he's like, "That's the fire."
That's the fire. The fire. So I've been watching that. Then we've watched a fuck ton. Like I don't even know where to start.
You don't need to go back 6 months. Yeah. What are you watching now?
Right now.
Season 10 of
we don't need to catch up.
Season 10 of Shameless, and we're also watching Schitt's Creek.
I haven't started Schitt's Creek, but I've heard good things, but I just haven't gotten into it. And then, man, I don't know when I dropped off of Shameless, but it was probably like 7 or 8.
It's still fun. It's definitely kind of like at this point, like I could just watch Frank Gallagher drink all day. Let's be honest, which is good because that's a large part of that show.
Yeah.
And there's our future. We look good for age, but Schitt's Creek you really enjoy. It's very funny, and as they get further into it, like it seems like they're just kind of like making fun of each other, but enjoying it on every scene because they're like half of them are like family. I've been a fan of Eugene Levy and his humor for a long fucking time.
Yeah, I mean, he's fantastic. And his son is funny. I watched some shitty Christmas movie with him in it.
Oh.
And he was funny.
To me, it's like a perfect combination of like, we've got Catherine O'Hara from Home Alone. And then like they all worked with like some of my favorite people would be like Christopher Guest from Spinal Tap, although they weren't in that. But like they were all
like
later
Catherine
movies.
O'Hara's entire body of work, Home Alone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Home Alone, but also she's with like a bunch of Christopher Guest movies, so it's just like fucking delights the shit out of me.
Yeah, it's a great show. A great show.
What about you?
It's better as it goes along too.
Yeah, we're in season 4.
We're jumping around. We were watching that. WandaVision.
Yeah,
we watched Fargo season 4 recently because that just hit Hulu, and that's fucking fantastic. And then Mando, of course. And then what was that other? The Alienist. We're watching season 2 of The Alienist, right?
Oh yeah, that's fun. I like season 1 more, but they're still pretty cool show.
It's pretty good. I mean, we're only like 2 or 3 episodes into that. I think we take it, and we're also rewatching Sunny again because we love Sunny to death. So like we're like we have that show that's like, oh, let's put this on to fall asleep to kind of thing. After we've watched like the hour-long drama, we always like switch to like something else. Yeah,
I just did that like a weekend ago. I was like, let's go. I just picked a random kind of start point in like season 3 or something. And I was just like, running
we
through
did that too. We started way late. We jumped in at like 7 or something like that. Cause we've seen the first 5-6 seasons like a million times. But man, we just watched that episode where Frank falls out of the fucking window and thinks it's 2006. And they basically just redo like their whole, they all make the same exact mistake. It's fucking so good. That show's so funny.
I forgot to say, Joe, I watched Utopia too. Have you guys seen it?
Wait, what?
I haven't finished it.
No.
It's called Utopia. It's on Amazon Prime, and it's about like a group of nerds that find like a secret comic book that's got like coded messages in it.
Actually, I know what you're talking about. I haven't watched it. It's Amazon Prime tends to be the streaming service that we kind of like ignore. Like unless it's The Boys.
I asked somebody, and they're like, "It's on Amazon Prime," and I'm like, "They have TV."
Yeah, I forget. They have good shows. They're about to.
You have to order it, by the way. It'll come in
anyway. The point is, we're all going.
It'll come in 2 days.
We're all going to forget that the Wheel Time Show even exists.
I know. It's gonna be really hard for me to remember that. Wait, where's the Wheel Time Show? Amazon. Oh, that's right.
I keep meaning to watch Fleabag because I heard it's funny. And the first episode we watched, and it was all about some shit. It was about history, which you would think would be literally right up my alley, proverbially. And then like we forget again, like, what were we watching that on? Like, gotta be on Hulu, right? That can't be right.
The Wheel Time Show is going to come out, and everyone's going to be talking about it. We're all 3 of us are just going to be sitting at home refreshing Netflix over and over again. Like, I don't get it.
Where is it? I don't understand.
Did you check on demand, idiot?
Maybe it's on Hulu. Fuck.
Yeah.
Is it on Disney Plus? Is it on Peacock? I have all of these.
God, I don't. Yeah, Peacock.
Is it on Apple TV Plus?
I mean, I know I talked about this before, but Jono, you need to watch that soccer show on Apple TV Plus. It's fantastic.
Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso.
Yeah, Ted Lasso. Yes, I remember the commercials. Like 10, 12 years ago.
It's fucking really good. Anyway,
yeah,
almost every episode of that made me cry, like tear up a little bit at the end. I'm like, you're supposed to make me laugh.
It's Jason
Sudeikis,
creator
of Scrubs.
Yeah, Sudeikis. Yeah, it is from the guy that made Scrubs.
Yeah,
interesting.
That's how you know it's good.
Reading, I finished Thunderball, got off of James Bond for a little bit because I received Fight Club 2, the graphic novel, for Christmas. So I decided to reread Fight Club. And then I tore through that, of course, because the novel was about 5 pages long. Chuck Palahniuk's books are relatively short. And then I started reading Fight Club 2, the graphic novel. But while I was reading that, I decided to start rereading a lot of Chuck Palahniuk stuff. So I read Survivor, and I'm in the middle of Survivor right now simultaneously with Fight Club 2.
And you can watch the whole show too.
No, different Survivor.
The band Survivor who wrote Eye of the Tiger. That makes sense.
That's the one.
Way back in the Fight Club days, I read all of that guy's books, like not back to back, but close enough to it. And after like the fourth one, I was like, all right, these are all the same.
Yeah, they are kind of all the same, but they're kind of like a weird, fun, like usually fucked up story that I just kind of like, I would use them to interject into like the endless sea of fantasy stuff that I would read or whatever. Like I'd just be like, I just want something else. Yeah. And they used to be like the perfect like palate cleanser for like going on to a new series or something like that. And I kind of got off of it for some reason. So he's got like 4 or 5 books that I haven't read. And I'm like, well, might as well just reread all the ones that I've already read and then read those. So I'm kind of doing that for no reason. That's about it, boys.
Well, shall we get to it?
Sure. I just scrolled back up through the intro, and I was about to say it's an tWoTcast for this week by accident.
If you did, I would have hung up so fast. Like, okay, see it.
We recorded 6 intros and outros today, and that's it.
And now we're done. Just insert an episode here. Yeah. So this is our episode covering the Dragon Reborn, written by Robert Jordan, the prologue through chapter 3. Starting with the prologue. What do we got here?
The prologue is,
do we want to trash the cover art? No.
You want to do cover art before I do a recap?
I'm not saying that we shouldn't do that, but we all know our views, you know?
Yeah, and I don't want to pile on, and we did this already 10 years ago.
But on the other hand, this cover art
10 years later, still hate it. Moving on.
It's still fascinatingly bad. Like, it doesn't make sense, and it's
mainly in their clothing. Like, I don't understand what any of them are wearing. It's so confusing. Like,
well, and also the spine
people like to joke that he's wearing blue jeans on the cover. Like, Rand's wearing blue jeans, or like blue jean Rand. You know, like they joke about that. But like, I see that, but I don't. I'm like, they're just pants that are blue.
They're just pants.
But the white coat, puffy coat is ridiculous. Everything Rand's wearing is ridiculous. Apparently,
not to mention, anytime anybody says anything about Tinkers, like one of the things that's like insane is that they're wearing like colored pants.
Whoa.
Like blue pants is not
pants are blue,
a normal thing that these people wear.
Is yellow.
Pants.
So the fact that Rand's wearing yellow pants or blue pants, you're like, so he's a Tinker dressed him today?
Yeah. I read this on my Kindle. I forgot how bad that cover art is that Jono just flashed like briefly.
Well, to me, it's the
baby
picture
parents.
of
We're doing it.
Balsamon creeping over. Yeah. Oh, that's it. That's enough. We're done. We can go. I don't hate the column.
I don't mind the Balsamon face. The Bazal man. His face. I don't mind his face. That's how you say it, right?
That's correct. Aaron checking out his guns, which are not nearly big enough.
I mean, Aaron's wearing no clothes.
No, sickening.
Fucking fur-lined vest. That's it.
Anyway, I did. By the way, I had totally forgotten this dedication was to to James Oliver Rigney Sr., who's died in 1988. And like, my first thought was like, pretty fucked up that's your third dedication was to your dad, who died like right before your first book came out. And I was like, you know what? I'm sure there's other things going on there. It's probably best to just to leave that alone.
Maybe his dad was like integral
to book 3.
Well, yeah. I mean, he thought of these books before they were published, Jono. It's not like he had, you know what I mean? It's not like he was like, and go, it's a book. It only took me 2 days. Like, he probably thought of them for decades.
Who is the second one dedicated to? I'm assuming the first one's Harriet.
So one of them is just like when the Eye of the World walked over like our like house, which someone's like, was that when you discovered God? And like, no, dude, that's when a fucking hurricane hit Charleston. Like, oh, whoops.
Was that recently, Alan?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked about that recently.
I read that.
We have talked about that, but
yeah, it was in the second one. So the first one's probably devoted to Harriet. I'm not looking or anything. Second one is that, but the third one.
Right. So my wife and editor, then weather, then my dead dad.
Again, maybe
also, wait a minute.
Something to do with
I see where you're going here.
Ideas in this.
Yeah.
Hold on, you got to. Yeah, let's go with that. So, my wife and editor. Anyone want me to say it? Rape. Dead dad.
It's dead people, death, and then of course weather. These are all the tenets of the
headaches.
Dark One.
Headaches.
Oh, so maybe headaches is the wife.
His father was the headache.
Maybe his father suffered from either his father was a headache to him, or maybe his father suffered from migraines.
Yeah, that's it. His father suffered from migraines.
Anyway, we've obviously cracked the code. Here's the recap of the prologue.
Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
Patron Niall point of view for the most part. We get Carradine at the end. It's just Niall getting reports about Thom from Byre and Carradine. Fane is there, and then Carradine hanging out with Androl at the end.
So I'll go on the record real fast. You're going to be delighted by this. Shockingly, I love this. Like what I feel about this is that it's almost kind of like the Dark Friend social event in the second one doesn't really bring you up to date on things. It's kind of the exact opposite, in that you know that anyone who you see later on that could be here as a Dark Friend. I feel like Jordan realized that this is a very cool kind of framing chapter, framing prologue, in that like you can pretty much bring a spy master type character in, and all of a sudden like you can kind of give the lay of the land without it being a stretch to say what's going on in the world. And later on, like we'll have Swans. I think Swan does one or two. Like Elida, I think maybe Swan only has one. Maybe but Elida gets a prologue chapter, I believe.
To kind of Swan in 4 and Elida in 5.
Yeah, I think that's right. Good call. And it kind of just say what's going across the world, that kind of thing, because they're going to have eyes and ears around there. So I like this as a framing chapter to kind of just lay what the fuck is going on.
Yeah,
it's also interesting to see how collectively goddamn deluded all three of these guys are, these White Cloaks, and all for different reasons.
It'd be fascinating because, as you mentioned, like Fane has already shown up, so we don't know how
for a month.
Yeah, so we don't know. Like, presumably, he hasn't gone too far off his rocker in the last month, and so this is pretty similar to what his real views were. But like his
views, I assume so. But how long was? I don't know, man. People give Fane credit for sort of like maybe fucking Egwene up a little tiny bit, and she visited him in a jail cell a few times over the course of a few weeks. I don't give
that. I don't give that any credit whatsoever. Yeah. I don't even think Niall his jailers are like his guards in the jail. Definitely felt something fucking happening. Just like he's been around Niall for a day out for that. Yeah, but the jailers are there day in, day out for months. Like he stops by and sees Niall in his study for 20 minutes.
But it wasn't. What is it? Was it months though? Like how long was it?
It was defeated the Eye of the World and then hung out for a long ass time while Rand trained with a sword and all that shit.
I don't think it was. I think it was like a few weeks. I don't even think it was all that long.
I think like 6-8 weeks because like they go from like obviously.
Oh well, 2 months is a long time, so never mind.
Yeah, but anyway, no, I mean,
but still, like we don't know. I mean, like Fane demonstrates it in this scene. Literally, like he's behind like a fucking tapestry, and Niall doesn't know he's there. So it's like, how much is his presence like constant that Niall's not even aware of? So like it could be pretty bad. I mean, like we don't even know how much of Niall.
I don't know, because I mean, Niall's also out of here pretty quickly. He's already back in the Two Rivers by the next book, and Fane is, and we see plenty of Niall.
I feel like this is pretty straightforward Niall up until the fact that when Ordia Fane walks out of the tapestry, like secret passage, and then it's like, hey, the Two Rivers, and he's like, yeah, the Two Rivers, let's go there. And you're like, oh, that's clearly his. But before that, it feels like regular Pedro Niall.
But do you wonder though? Like, so I'm not saying he's just going to go crazy, but certain changes of his opinion, right? Like, because one of the things that he says is a number of times that makes sense to me is that like he thinks that despite obviously having like that anyone who wants to channel is probably someone who wants to kind of like almost go up against the creator to challenge the creator, which therefore is tantamount to being a Dark Friend. I don't hate that as a reason to be afraid of Aes Sedai if you're a zealot, right? That makes sense to me. Like, this is the creator's power, and if you're going to tap into it, that means that you are, almost you're challenging him.
Yeah, he's very reasonable in terms of being a white cloak. Yeah.
But he also says that, like, you know what, the fucking, the Aes Sedai in, the Age of Legends, they were so damn strong compared to what they are now. Those seals will hold. Like, I'm not worried about that shit at all. Almost like, kind of like, you know what, they did mean well. They did not mean they didn't mean to do this. They're misguided assholes versus just being like the soul of Satan. It's like, that's a kind of rational view. On the other, though, what he then does afterwards of discounting every single prophecy, despite believing in the last battle, which is prophetic, he then completely disregards the prophecy of the dragon, which is emblematic of the prophecy. So all of a sudden now we're in, so you're not really, A plus B equals.
Does he disbelieve that there is going to be a Dragon Reborn, or does he disbelieve that Rand is the Dragon Reborn?
It seems like he disregards the Dragon Reborn in general because he thinks that he is the key to the last battle.
That could be Thane's influence. I was just thinking about it. We were just like, I don't know how much he influenced Niall, and this seems like pretty normal behavior for him. We've never seen Niall without.
Well, and that was my point. That was my point. It was like, where do we start?
Well, we've seen him a little tiny every day in book 2, and it seems similar to that.
I guess he could just be chasing butterflies every day, and like he likes to eat pudding. And then Thane showed up, and he was just like, I don't believe in the dragon anymore. Who knows?
Yeah, don't go chasing waterfalls.
Okay. Anyway, so like you mentioned, Byer's there. And
real quick, he walks across this sunburst. I want to talk about this weird statement for a minute. He walks across this sunburst, and it's enough gold to buy a manor and a title. And the whole point of it being written is that, like, he's like, oh, he doesn't care about money. He's never even thought twice about how much gold he's walking over every day of his life for like the last 10 years or whatever. And I understand why it was put there, but like, just the idea that you could take all the gold from the sunburst and then go buy lands and a title somewhere is hilarious to me. And I just love the idea of someone like joining a cult for the long con of like working your way up to being the leader of that cult just so you could steal gold and then run off and have a title. Just the longest heist ever.
It was actually recorded beforehand, and that's how he's going to evade.
I'm 75 years old.
How would you do that?
Finally do my plan.
How would you do that secretly? Like, you're just like, look, guys, I quit. Yeah. And then the new guy comes in the next day and all the gold is gone from the sunburst. Like, well, that wasn't me, you say, from your new manor house with your new title.
Right. They don't notice it for a while because you painted it, and you're like, they're like,
that's exactly right. Pedro Nile Ocean has it removed and then has it painted over in a different thing. And then he's getting beaten up by Bruiser downstairs.
Yeah. And then someone drops a statue or something in the room he's in, and it chips the paint, and they're like, wait a minute, this isn't gold. I've been robbed. Yeah, so I just thought that was funny. It was like this random throwaway line, and I know exactly why it was written there, just to show that he doesn't give a fuck about like worldly possessions. But I was just like, I couldn't get past this like idea that someone would take their whole life working their way up to the ranks of the Children of Light just to be like, fuck yeah, free gold.
Well, it's kind of funny because like there are several times that like, I walked across it without noticing the value. Like, it seems like you had to, notice it to say that comment.
Seems like you noticed it. Yeah. Seems like you noticed it.
Like, there's one in just the next chapter. Oh no, later on in this chapter with Carradine. Because Jake and Carradine like walks across.
You mean the man called Bors?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Walks across his nice carpet, which is what he calls his lady friend. And, doesn't even notice the value. And later on, Matt Cawthon does it too. It's just kind of, that's not a great spot for Matt to be in, where it's, Pedro Nile, okay, and then himself, like, I got to get out of this company. These are not good people.
I see what you're saying. I get it.
It's a buyer.
Yeah, buyer comes in he cleans up and comes in to report.
I'm upset with this, by the way, because buyer was told first go to Younger Bonehold and then come here. We talked about this at the end of the last episode, and that's actually he fucked up. He went backwards, which is probably the right way to do it, both on map and what's important for the White Cloaks. But he disobeyed orders.
Yeah, he disobeyed a direct order to go see his son first and then report.
Yeah.
Maybe he got seen or something. You know, like we don't know. Like he could have been at like an inn or something, and Children of the Light were like, "What the fuck are you doing out here?"
Nothing. Going back home.
Nothing. I was told. Not going. I'm going straight to Amadickia. You know. Yeah. Super normal that I'm in this area. I don't think
it's this really that.
Sorry, go ahead, Tom.
No, all right. I am a little delayed.
It's okay. Go ahead.
No, I just don't think it's not that excusable for buyers, like for a character that like follows the rules so closely and is just so crazy about all of it. It's weird.
Yeah, I agree. You know, it's also what I love about this is that Buyer is like, you know, the second in command for Bonehold, and yet he seems like such a bad candidate for second in command. Really, like he's a decent kind of, you know, like.
I think it's because he's such a good soldier in the strictest sense of the term, and then that's also, kind of what I was going for. And then also just like listens to orders to the letter of the law, kind of thing. Which is, to your point, weird that he didn't follow those orders directly or like exactly.
Yeah, but anyways,
we're already seeing little tidbits of Buyer saying things out loud that aren't necessarily like he drew those own conclusions about Perrin himself quite hysterically.
Yeah,
like
so
which I pointed out at the end of the last book. Like he mentioned Perrin, and I was like, he mentions Perrin here in like such a circumspect way that it's almost bizarre how later on he's like, it's Perrin, and you're just like, what? Where does he get that from?
I think he's in love with him.
You saw him in the fucking woods like days beforehand. You didn't see him at the battle. It's so bizarre. Like the connective tissue there is so like
tissue. Yeah,
there's nothing. He's got, and you're just like, and I'm sure it was Perrin. He's the one who did it. And you're just like, Jesus Christ, did you travel back to Amadickia with fucking Fane or something? Where are you getting this from?
Maybe. I love that. It came from the same direction.
So, I mean, it wouldn't be that crazy, I guess. But I mean, well, yes, it would be crazy if they were traveling literally together. But if they were close by each other in terms of when they got back.
Maybe Buyer and Perrin are a real like MacGruber situation and that one guy in his car.
What is it? K6, like a KN749 or something like that?
I don't know.
The only explanation.
It's KF something. Anyway, I keep telling myself I'm just gonna have that tattooed on my body because that joke comes up so often, and I'm like, why don't I remember?
Because you're not insane.
Just have it tattooed on my arm. Oh, that looks unfortunate for World War II survivors. What's this number? Nothing.
It's KFBR
it's a license plate for MacGruber.
KFBR 392.
KFBR 392. That's every time.
That's pretty really dark for World War II. Are you a survivor? No, I watched MacGruber.
I like MacGruber. It's a really funny joke. You know what I'm going to do to remember that number from now on? I'm going to fill a notebook by writing it over and over again. And then just put it on my shelf. Then one day, hopefully far in the future, when I die, someone will find that notebook and be like, what the fuck?
Do you know how many times I have to travel to so many different offices and accounts? Do you know how many times I've thought about like making a notebook like that once and like just leaving it in a room and walking out and coming back later?
And then 3 weeks later, the front page has to have like extensive detail of how to contact you if it's ever lost, though. Like just like phone number, address,
property of Tom O'Hara.
Email. Yeah. Please return if lost. Reward will be given. Like it just. And then just nonstop pages of KFBR 392. No, I mean, I would go pick it up, you know, and like, oh, thanks, I left this here. And then still work with those people for 3 weeks. And they'd constantly be looking at me out of the corner of their eye, like, what the fuck? And every once in a while, you just like open it up and write down in it while you're looking at them, but don't say anything.
Even writing all of that out for the joke is insane. Like,
it is sort of. But I mean, think about it. Like, you could do like a couple of pages a day, and then fast forward a month. That's crazy. That's 60 pages of insanity. It wouldn't take that long.
Who's the poor guy who has to do that, like over and over? Just like your job is.
We've done dumber jokes for
we have got to get back on.
All right,
back on track.
Niall says this boy proclaimed himself the Dragon Reborn, and he's kind of upset about it. That's all I got.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much else to say. Like,
I like there's stuff here.
Yeah.
So
Byers giving his report, Niall's like just being like, you're misinterpreting all of this.
Yeah, I do like how Niall is listening to the report and then constantly going like, it's almost word for word what he said the first two times. Like, this guy is just so boring in terms of I can't glean any more information out of him.
Between Byers
on the stands in a trial.
Yeah. And Niall's just like, that's what you got from that? You guys are wrong.
Yeah, he blames the Aes Sedai for the death of the children in Bonehold. And then he tells him about the Shan-Chan. And he's just kind of like listening to him going like, mm-hmm. And why did you think the Aes Sedai are involved? And he's like, well, I saw exploding earth and lightning come out of the sky. What else could it be? And he's like, all right, fair enough.
Yeah, that's good enough. In fairness, I can't blame anyone for drawing that conclusion, right? I mean, like, we've talked about this before, and Carradine kind of leans, like, let's say Byers leaves and now Carradine comes in. Like, you can't blame anyone for the weird conclusions of, other than one time in history, there will be no Dragon Reborn, and no other time in history has anyone come back from across the fucking ocean. And
True.
At any normal time, the idea of sending soldiers to Almond Plain, slowly creating it, like, your own kind of power there, creating a small civil war, and then swooping in and stopping it and slowly just kind of filling that void.
Yeah,
that all would have worked, presumably, in a normal time of history.
A couple of weird things there. Niall didn't trust Bonehold with that information, and for some reason he put Carradine in charge, which Niall found disturbing in the first place. I feel like if he had said like, hey, we need to go, this area is full of conflict and probably dark friends. And as the children of light, we need a new basis of power. And like, we should take this over and bring all these people to the light. Like, you could justify that to Bonehold pretty easily. I don't really think you don't need to like that dude. Like, why the secrecy with him in the first place? Number one. Number two, Bonehold says to Byers, like, go there and tell them what you saw and like blah, blah, blah. But he doesn't tell him everything that because he has all these things in his mind, and like he believes what the Shan-Chan are, and he thinks that he needs to go stop it.
Well, there's not only that,
the Aes Sedai are working with them, but he does believe that they came across the ocean. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, there's little parts of what Bonehold knows that he doesn't relay to Byers, but then trusts Byers to then relay the truth of what happened to his superiors. And you're just going like, you should have written a fucking note and had him deliver it or something, or anything with actual information on it, because you're trusting Byers to understand. Anyway, yeah.
But the second party tells Byers, tell them how the White Cloaks treated us and what they did, because
You mean the Questioners?
Yeah, sorry. Because the Questioners literally just murdered people, tossed them into water, and not just like
dark friends.
Yeah, pretty much acted like anyone who was evil would have done. And he felt betrayed. Like he felt like they were actually keeping them actively away from where potential dark friends may have been, like the Shan-Chan.
Yeah.
And that was the whole point here, is that it's not just like there is a festering issue within the Children of the Light as well as across the ocean. And again, like you said, that very valid point. Byers' response was, Perrin Ibarra jerked off. Like, wait, what is it?
Yeah, it's so fucking like you're leaving all of this like information giving to this one dude that is kind of dense in terms of like what he thinks is going on. You don't give him
extrapolate with your mind. No.
Yeah, you don't give him like clear like summation of what you think is going on in the area. It's very strange. At any rate, and it's no wonder Byers like, it was Perrin, because you're just like, what the fuck? Of course he did, because he's an idiot.
He has no other idea. All he saw was fog.
Perrin made an instant with the water, and it turned into cloud.
Yeah. Anyway,
the new plan for Carradine is to let Rand become a giant lion, which then Nile.
Oh yeah, Carradine comes in to report.
Yeah.
I was still on Buyer. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, we kind of did.
We're done with Buyer.
Yeah, we are. No, we are. I'm just saying, like, we hadn't really said anything on Carradine. Anyway. He says, "Don't be too clever," and then he said it was Dark Friends versus Dark Friends, and he's like, "Yes, it was."
Maybe.
Well, I mean, they think everyone's a Dark Friend and it's not a White Cloak, so yeah, it was Dark Friends versus Dark Friends.
That's true.
Well, no, but Carradine's saying that maybe even Bornhold was a fucking Dark Friend because why wouldn't he follow my orders? Ironically, I'm a Dark Friend, but we'll never get to know now. That's
kind of what I'm saying. Like, if Niall's plan was Niall's plan, we all know what Niall's plan was. I mean, he basically spells it out in this prologue. But it was like one of those things. He's like, "You're supposed to seize Almouth Plain, and you failed. Like, fuck you," kind of thing. But at the same time, it's just like, well, again, why did you give that to this dude?
How many questioners were there? Seize Almouth Plain.
So clearly, well, 2,000 troops is a lot for, a bunch of villages and like,
I guess,
small kingdoms that can't hold on to their land already. I mean, It's a Roll Day brings up a gajillion troops to the fight later on. So you're right. I don't understand how that was going to work, but
well, no, they say that like there haven't been troops like in like the 5-figure, like 10,000 on 10,000 for almost 1,000 years. Like that, those numbers, like it would be like 5,000 on 5,000 for like
right. So you're
yeah.
So in theory, It's a Roll Day.
Yeah.
Raised that army slowly over the next couple of years, and then in the end books when he's fighting with those men, like that's
the only exception would be when the White Cloak, or not the White Cloaks, the Aiel came over from the Waste. That's why that's why it was a dozen nations sent like 3,000 5,000 kind of like at a time, and then big ass army. But there haven't been numbers on that for a long fucking like that for years.
Interesting.
Thank you.
All right. So Niall wants Carradine to protect Rand, basically.
Yeah.
Keep him alive with your knives in the dark.
Yeah. So part one of the plot made sense. It got foiled. All right, we regroup. You don't look so good having just lost 1,000 troops, but maybe you're technically worth it because you shoved the Shan back in the ocean. Part two really kind of neat to understand. Like, I get it in concept. Like, oh no, it's the Dragon Reborn. Don't worry, Niall.
Well, Carradine doesn't even believe that the Shan came from across the ocean, though.
Yeah, there's that too. That's a very valid point. Now, how
he's like, no one can cross the ocean. That's insane. And it's like, well,
I have two ideas. No one has done it before. And their accents are. Oh wait, they're from nowhere relevant. Well, whatever. But
that's true. That's true. They must not understand water that well. Nobody in these books have.
You broke up, Tom. I didn't get that. Nobody in this book's what?
Oh, I was going to say that nobody in the books ever even goes to the beach. This is a very rough concept of what the ocean is like. I go swimming once.
I love the idea of just questioning their beach goingness. So
every time we are at a place where the ocean meets the land, it's always like a port or like there. Where are the beaches?
Yeah,
there's gotta be over here, right? Pack a bag, get some towels, get some sunscreen.
Do you think Shandar has some nice beaches?
Is it true they don't shave their pits?
Yeah, they don't.
They have nude beaches.
They have nude walk through the hallway. They don't really like clothes.
No, they have thin walk through the hallway.
I got a job at the palace. Oh, really? What are you doing? I just serve coffee. This is my new uniform. Are you holding up anything? It's clothing.
This is
it's clothing. Also, monsters help them. That's obviously that they're dark friends because everyone knows that the only monsters are Trollocs.
Yeah, there you go. Or Ogier. Nope, don't believe in that either. It's again his 2 points of I must be correct, even though Niall agrees, are very fleetingly not.
He doesn't agree with the Trolloc thought process, which I thought was funny. I don't think he agrees with the ocean thing. He's like, anyway.
Good enough.
Like he's just like, all right, whatever, I'll believe it for now.
But anyway, so part 2 is
so when he starts threatening him. Yeah. He's like, I'll feed you to your own questioners. Blah blah blah. Make certain Rand doesn't die. And when he explains himself, you're just like, and which what you kind of keep bringing up with the lion thing. It's not a bad thought process. Like, I don't like, he keeps going like, oh, it's blasphemy that I'm not telling him to kill him right away. But at the same time, he still wants to do the same plan that he already had. He just is going to do it in a different way. And it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, yes, but no.
He's a Lord Captain Commander for a reason. Like, who's going to question him? The questioners?
A whole bunch of people to do it. Next up, interrogatory. But my question would be, though, God damn it, like, what's your plan to defeat him, right? Like, so your plan is to let him become like a full-on like lion, and then are you going to beat him in open battle, like stab him in the back, like? Because
it seems like. Which is funny that you mentioned that, because that's kind of Carradin's point a second beforehand. He's like, well, I'll just hunt him down with what's left of Bonehold's Legion. And he's like, so you're going to do with half of Bonehold's Legion what he couldn't do himself? Well, what are you going to do against these Aes Sedai that he couldn't do? And he's like, I don't know. And that's why he's like, no, leave him alive, and then we'll take care of him later. And you're just like, wait a minute.
So I guess
Jono, you're right. That makes no fucking sense. Like, how is he going to do that? I guess with more troops.
Yeah, I guess his plan is to become like a new version of kind of like
we'll send 2001 this time.
And if that's not enough, we've got 3004, and that's
how many legions does he have? Do you think?
I would suspect. I want to say they marshal like 12,000 at the end or something like that. So he probably had about 15,000 total because he's got some with Ian and Malda.
So he's got approximately 15,000. There's 2,000 in the Legion, so he's got like 7 or 8 legions.
7 or 8.
They have a very overinflated sense of their force capabilities and just their importance in the world.
Well, they are like ridiculously well-trained soldiers, as opposed to like,
because there aren't standing armies for the most part, with the exception of the North. There aren't very many standing armies.
However, they're almost too strictly trained, because as we see with Perrin later on in this book, like they just. And like and in book 1, when they just like the guards, it's like a Zelda or like level, and they like walk and turn around and walk away, and you're just like, what the?
And in book 4, also in book 4,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Oh yeah, book 4. Sorry, my bad.
They never learned.
Like Shadow Rising, it's just like they just don't. They're just like, we're such good soldiers, no one will ever come near us. Oh, how did they?
You'd be better off just standing still and looking around. That's all you have to do.
They would be. Just literally stand still and look, turn your head every once in a while. You'd be a better sentry.
So Carradin gets these marching orders, and then that's when Fane comes in.
Yeah.
Ordieth. Does that name have any significance?
Yeah, it's a riff off. So it means wormwood. It's a riff off of Grima Wormtongue.
Yeah, it's one of the last Lord of the Rings direct references.
Yeah,
I guess we can only like theorize, but like, what the fuck? Like, so he's been there a month.
Yeah,
where did he just leave?
Yeah,
wouldn't he have sensed Rand coming to the city? Like, why? What? I just don't understand. What was Jordan doing with the end of that book?
Well,
that last book, and Fawn.
He told Rand to follow him, and if Rand didn't, then he was going to destroy the 2 rivers. So he went to Fawn, waited around for quite a while. Rand disappeared in a portal stone, so he was like, all right, if he's not coming, I'm going to destroy the 2 rivers. So he goes to the White Cloaks to get White Cloaks.
But he left without the dagger?
Well, how's he going to get it?
Actually,
there's a blade. It's in possession of a blade master.
To Joe's point, like we know that the High Lord Turok, the dinosaur hunter, said that one of his best servants just died a couple nights beforehand.
Yeah, he's there. So he's there like a few nights beforehand, theoretically.
It could have been that
he only would have just waited 2 more days.
No, it could have been though that like he walks out of his fucking inn.
But even then, Rain's not in the Portal Stone world 2 days before. It takes him at least a few days to get into town.
Though, he walked out of his inn and saw just, a giant battle and then the Heroes of the Horn.
That's all I can estimate.
I mean, like, if anything, Fane is smart enough to just kind of like say, fuck that.
Fane's a
that's true.
He's like, oh shit, he's here. And then he walks out and he's like, oh God.
Oh,
well,
shit,
you know what? One of the things that always is funny though is that Fane actually knows. Fane knows Arthur Hawkwing by person because Fane was one of the advisors who made Arthur Hawkwing not trust. Or no, I'm sorry, it wasn't Fane. It was. I'm sorry, I got that wrong. It was Ishmael.
I mean, it's kind of part. It's part of Fane's personality, right?
I guess it would make sense.
I see what you're saying.
You know what? Yeah, you know what bothers me about it then? It's just that there was nothing from it. If in the end of the last book there was 2 pages of Ordeus going like, oh shit, well that turned out not how I expected. Let me try over here.
Not 2 fucking pages, but 2 fuck pages.
Yeah,
also,
2 fuck pages. I mean, I got pages from fucking Buyer's perspective in the end of that book. You couldn't have given me 2 pages of Fane going like, holy shit, this boiled over real fast. I gotta go this way. Fuck the dagger. I'll get it later. Cause I'm Fane. Fuck it. Like anything at all would have made it like, just like, oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
Maybe get his viewpoint from other places too. So why not? Yeah.
Maybe
he did go out of his way to put him right in the prologue of this book. You have to say that. At the same time,
maybe
without explanation.
Yeah,
maybe they should have prepared us for the end of the series since we should have realized it was going to be just like book 2 because Fane is literally the villain for 600 pages, and at the end he's just like, I'm not even here anymore.
That was a solid.
I never even think about it when I read that book. Like, this is the bad guy from start to finish, and then we get to the end, and the bad guy's not there, and I'm just like, man, the ending of that book is great.
Anyway, all right, sorry. I know I got us off on a little.
No, but it's like, and we've hit this only 400,000 fucking times on this podcast. But like, that is one of my biggest regrets. It's not like I'm fucking in charge of it, but like one of the things I regret most is how poorly done it was for him. Building up Buttercup, this fucking.
I don't dislike anything leading up to him cutting Rand in the side. Like all of that seems to be built. It's just like, it seems like after that, he kind of disappears for weird amounts of time. And you're just like, where is that dude? And then and some of it you can go like, well, book 10 was like a flashback book, the whole book, and you're like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. But there's certain parts where you're just like, okay, well, Fane's over here doing whatever. But it's like, man, they take a real long time setting Fane up, and then it just comes to
we got to stop talking about this. We do this a lot. You
know why, Tom? Because the next few chapters there's a whole lot of here's the camp of the Dragon Reborn.
Well, right before we get there, do you Carrot in the Mirror? Would you watch that TV show?
Yeah, Carrot.
Absolutely. Is it a monthly episode, and then every month it's just a new he kills somebody else in Carrot's family in front of him?
I don't think it's a sitcom. I think it's more like an anti-buddy cop drama or something. Maybe, I don't know.
Can you imagine the plot of this poor fucking family too? Like the family accountant, right? Who's just kind of like taking charge of the Carrot family estate and all this stuff. I'm like, little Bobby died, and then little Susie, and then it's just like it just keeps going. Like,
I do sort of want to like read those offshoot chapters.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on with this family line? Because a lot of them do get murdered.
You just want to read it like an anthology series about just the one murder after the other.
Yeah.
Well, and like there's a link to it later, and like it's
just
really
summing up with Wormwood here. He's like, wait, do you know that guy? And he's like, oh yeah, it's Randall Thor. He comes from the Two Rivers. And then they're like, he's like, what? He's like, don't worry about it. Anyway, is it Matt or does Parrot or Matt ring a bell? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like just blatantly spinning this guy off into his own.
Maybe I could interest. And then he's like, other.
I do like when he crumples the drawing, like as quote unquote cool headed as Ordeus is pretending he is right now. He's like, God, and just crumples the drawing of Rand because he hates him that much. At any rate, but yeah, it sums up with we must make plans for the Two Rivers. Maybe when the snow clears, and you're just like, oh, that's ominous as fuck.
Yeah, and I think that's like we mentioned earlier, kind of like the real first time that like there is no reason that a non-fucked up Pedro Nile would send hundreds of troops into what is ostensibly the strongest country, like as far as just like in the mainland goes, really. But it's like the northern, like the borderlands, may be stronger militarily, but they're also busy as fuck, obviously.
Yeah, I think he's definitely manipulated here. I just don't know if he's like permanently mentally altered by his time.
I don't know about maybe. I think he's definitely being manipulated by him in that moment of like planning for the Two Rivers, and like he clearly pointed him in that direction with almost little effort.
Yeah, like unintentionally starts a civil war, but that's more because Perrin's there and creates, like his own little fiefdom, which he
like a dark friend would.
But like otherwise, what the fuck would he be doing with the small area of the Two Rivers as part of the Children of the Light? Nothing. Like there's no egress out of there. It's actually one of the least defensible positions, like as far as like trying to grow an empire. So like, it's not smart at all militarily, other than, we can kill some dark friends who are actually quite opposite of dark friends. That's okay.
I do like how Fane kind of paints the picture of like, well, what better place for dark friends to like have their own city, essentially, is this little pocket of the world where no one's around and they can all just be dark friends out in the open. He's like, they have to hide in regular cities, but here they can just be dark friends. And he's like, fucking Jesus, I never even thought of that. And it's like,
well, that's because
isn't that basically what you were pretending Carradine was pretending was going on in the Almoth Plain, at least? Like,
that's a great point.
Every one of these little villages is filled with dark friends because they're all isolated. And you're like, oh, they're just people farming the land. But all right.
Yeah. Who would actually notice when someone was bad because they all know their neighbors. No.
All right. So the man called Bors meets with a Midril.
Called?
Shadowrun. I don't know. Is it?
No, I don't think so. That's supposed to
Do you think this is the Midril Butler?
Yes. That explains a lot. That's how he got in there first. He kind of opened the door for himself.
He's my new character for the rest of for this version of the series.
Yeah.
He's my new glow stick IL for this for this reread. Would you like to die now, my lord?
Come on in.
Or have some coffee before you die.
It's
his manservant is missing, but it turns out he just went out for groceries. I was really expecting him to like open up a cabinet and a dead body falls out like in Clue.
So this is a Three's Company.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
It's like you walk in, your body servant's missing, the Myrdrill's in there. Obviously, this guy's dead. And then it's like a slapstick comedy shows.
And then later on, he's like,
I was buying strawberries.
Groceries. In the local shop. The grocery.
So basically, the Myrdrill gives him conflicting orders with Niall's orders.
Yeah. He's like, point. You need to kill Rand al'Thor. You were supposed to do that the whole entire time. Which is, again, interesting that's why he was out there. I felt like his orders from Ishmael might have been more complicated than that, but I guess it was just to kill Rand al'Thor.
Yeah, it was literally, here's 3 dudes, kill one. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Oh. I'll go to the Almoth Plain. Like what? His plans weren't more involved, like say, seeding a civil war in that area or something like that. Because it seems a very involved way about going to find Rand and kill him. Maybe he just had orders that like Rand's going to be here at this day and time. Just be there. I don't give a fuck what you do in between. Kill him.
You've got
something of a high level, at least in the real world, dark friend. To just be like, just go kill this guy. I would definitely have more elaborate plans for somebody that was capable of doing so much more.
Well, especially with the ironic title of being so high up in the children, because I feel really
sorry, go.
No, not really much to it, but that gives you a lot of power to pretend to fight for justice when you're not. And all of a sudden, that's marks, and this is in no way relevant to today's society. But if you are fighting on one side, but actually, like on a false flag kind of thing, it's going to really fuck up everything.
If it was me and I was Ishmael and I wanted Rand dead and I had this room of dark friends and I could give them orders and give some of them the orders to kill Rand, the first person I would have told to kill Rand would have definitely been Ingtar. He was right next to him for a whole book.
Yeah.
I feel like you don't understand how this works. Ingtar lets him.
Hey, you know that farm boy slit his throat in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
No. Let someone else to shoot at him from far away.
Just let someone in the dog gate. Then sleep next to Rand, innocent as a babe, for the next 3 months.
I guess it is true that when they had the Dark Friend social, Ishmael didn't know that Ingtar was going to go on like a 4-month camping trip with Rand.
That's true.
Because after just like, maybe he has an accident in the woods, maybe he falls down a ravine. Like I literally do whatever.
4-month camp. So just kind of like you see afterwards, after he sees what happens, man, if I had only known.
I played this wrong.
Yeah.
All right. So the fate is basically why are you here? You were commanded to kill Rand, and he's like, things have changed. You know?
Yeah. How it is that they didn't just kill him then, other than just because there's still value to him, but like
no fucking clue.
You just walked 500 miles and 500 more the wrong fucking direction.
Yeah.
Turn around and go back.
We have this conversation somewhere else. You could have stopped me at any point.
He came all the way back, and Niall and the Myrddraal were like, "You're going back."
Yeah. What are you doing here? Get out of here.
Should have sent a messenger.
Niall also
it is pretty scary when he like questions the Fade for a second. He's like, "You question me?" And he like crushes his wrist and shit. You're like, "Oh fuck, he's gonna die." Also, he's a Dark Prince, so I don't care.
Yeah, like that Myrddraal fucks him instantly, like quick as a fucking viper, breaks his wrist and like choking him out, just staring at him like, I'll
kill someone from your family every month that it takes you to not kill Rand. Is fucking
that is dark.
It is, but like I said, I kind of like I want to see those chapters. Yeah. Where, like somebody's like on a farm and it's just like, hey, where'd Bill go? Oh, they find him just dead, strung up in a tree. Like, holy shit! And then like next month it's someone else. How many months before the Carradine family is like, wait a second,
I gotta change my name.
Myrddraal Butler returned and was like, so anyway, I told him that I was going to kill a member of his family every month until he killed the Dragon Reborn. Like, well, how many family members does he have? And like, oh, I don't know, like 20 or something. Like 20? It's like 2 years.
That's a long time.
A promise is a promise.
Maybe you should have done
20 or so.
Once a day or once a week at least.
I mean, it could be a few years before he even gets to someone he cares about. He's going to be killing cousins for the next 2 years.
In the meantime, he's like running home. He's like, everybody change your last name. Change your last name.
Yeah. But I like the Fade does literally say like, so therefore you'll die really slowly. And you're just kind of going like, so there's no time pressure here at all. Like you just, I mean, I don't know how many family members Carradine has, but
I mean, if I was Carradine, if he was just like, well, once a month, I'd be like, yeah, well, I'm going to sleep in tomorrow at least.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Take some time off, heal that wrist. This was brought on the Carradines were actually brought on Robert Jordan's faith and like the love of the Carradine actor family. Like there's like David Carradine,
like Kung Fu
Carradine.
Yeah, Carradine. There, thank you. Whichever one committed like autoerotic asphyxiation and like that kind of thing, and like so like in Tom's like ideas, like there's like all these weird ass suicides that are like quasi sexual that the Myrddraal Butler's doing.
Yeah. Like for sure.
I would read this.
He's gonna add a weird level. Like if your job as a Myrddraal Butler was to go around and kill one member of this guy's family a month, you're gonna think you have 30 days to like think of a funny way to do it. He's like, well, what am I going to do this month? I already did autoerotic asphyxiation.
Yeah.
So the TV show Carradine and the Myrddraal, I guess, every episode would open up with like Carradine finding the dead body of his family member, and then he would say something like they do at the beginning of CSI, and then there's credits, and then he's got to spend the whole episode investigating the crime because he's a white court questioner, even though he already knows who did it.
He's like, who would have murdered my niece with spiked anal beads?
He pulled off sunglasses.
All right, I am ready for this show. I mean, that's just like we're just starting to think about it. We can do better. Are we ready for chapter 1 now?
Every episode has a carrot and fourth wall break where he just looks at the camera and he's like, who would have done this?
Yeah, as Tom mentioned, chapter 1, which right now if my wife could hear, she'd be like, what the fuck? Did you just say chapter 1, 90 minutes in?
Fine,
chapter 1 is it's a parent point of view. And my notes just say, parent picks up the bird lady in the woods. It's a bird lady from Home Alone, in case you didn't get the reference.
Oh.
That's kind of what I picture being in my mind. There is truly not much that happens here. He's in the woods with the Shenarians. They go back. They hear weird bird calls, by the way, for the bird lady. Are they, like, I used to think they were Shenarians, like watching them come into camp, but now I think it's the bird lady's birds.
That's correct. She's just thrown some seed beforehand that's stuck onto paint.
Yeah. But honestly, they chat and then they show up and then parents like, welcome to the camp of the Dragon Reborn.
Yeah, it's pretty much the whole scene. Should we talk about
many pages? Yeah, go ahead.
That bothers me the most?
I can't wait to find out.
It's called paragraph 1. The wind arose to the mountains of mist. And then the wind somehow talks about going over the lowlands where there's, where spring's already there, as well as the highlands. This is in the northern hemisphere. How is the wind going north-south or east-west? They should only be going to, if parent is in the western part of the mountains of mist.
Are you talking about the pattern of the weather?
Yes, goddamn right I am.
It's not natural wind, dummy. It's the fucking pattern. It's always been the pattern.
It doesn't make sense to me.
It's not supposed to make sense.
The pattern
also, Tom, Jono went back to the first paragraph of this chapter, but we should all just be thankful he didn't go back to the title and or chapter icon.
Yeah, there we go. I'm making progress.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah, Jono's making progress.
I didn't write that part down, so I didn't know what it was.
Yeah. The chapter title is called Waiting, and
we already did
this chapter is literally him waiting. I mean, Tom, you already kind of summed it up a little bit.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, I don't know if I missed anything, honestly.
I have things to discuss, but they're nothing
is
crazy.
It the wind?
No.
Is it parent's horse Stepper that he's going to keep for a long time?
No, but it is kind of neat that he named his horse Stepper and that horse does
step.
I do kind of like that the horses carry on through as many books as they randomly do.
I love the fact that he gets Stepper and Stayer, because I feel like he should just start naming
it's just commands for a dog.
Yeah.
just
he names his first kid Sitter. Hey, get over here. Help your mom with dinner.
By the way, that's how you explain to Shanda that we're 90 minutes in only on chapter 1, because now we're just about done with chapter 1 already.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was like, let's talk about the prologue for a bit, because these chapters are
I've got
relatively
so much
bare.
Parent's senses are now fully functional. This is like the first real time that he mentions not just his sense of smell.
Yeah, fair point. Yeah,
emotions, which is really cool, but at the same time, it's a big improvement as far as skills go.
You know what? I can only say that is maybe partly due to the fact that they've been sitting around in the woods for so long. I mean, he might have literally just been chatting with wolves while he's been here, or maybe just the isolation has given him time to kind of
learn the skills.
I don't know, just chill out, and expand his.
Yeah,
his
I've got no problem with that. It's just funny because it's not really you would have thought that. It would to me. I would have expected, and I'd be wrong, obviously, that Jordan to be all of a sudden parent smells Uno's fear. It's only become recent that he's realized that he can smell Uno's fear versus kind of embellish that.
Right? Yeah.
Similar to Rand's improvement with a sword from book 1 to book 2.
It sort of is.
Just got better at smelling things.
I mean, like I said, maybe
cool.
Just a little isolation for parent is a believable reason for him to have expanded these abilities slightly.
Yeah. Uno, by the way, has picked up his painted eye patch, which is a wonderful kind of gag. It's not just a eye patch; it's a flaming green.
I didn't do my homework and listen to the old episode, but I distinctly remember us, and maybe I'm wrong, but I distinctly remember us making a joke about him buying that from like a vendor on the street and what that might have been like.
I think you're correct.
I don't really remember what we were talking about, but because it was 10 years ago. Yeah. But I very much love that idea still. Again, we're probably going to repeat ourselves, but I just love the idea of him like walking up to a fucking street vendor and being like, red eyeball, that one.
Nobody would know if we repeated ourselves anyway, unless there's somebody out there that like listens to the original and then goes to this, which I'm not going to say anything.
You know what? There's got to be somebody that does that.
There's got to be
just
one
statistically.
You
listen to what they said the first time, and then listen to this one.
Massima and Regan, however you want to say his name, discuss Two Rivers bows, which I think is kind of like foreshadowing for later events.
Like what?
Perrin and the Two Rivers. Yeah, they're discussing the Two Rivers bows in terms of like military prowess, which is interesting. Kind of the first time they've talked about it. They kind of made fun of them before the Shenarians in book 2, I think. But I think I do kind of like Perrin's just like his little note of like they don't even know the half of like what I can do or who I am or what all these weird powers are, and they might suspect a little bit, but they're such like good people that they just like accept me immediately and like they're just like, yeah, whatever. He's got some weird thing going on. And I
don't understand that Perrin is Wolverine.
Yeah, they don't get it yet, but maybe they will. But it was just one of those things where I'm like, oh, that's not it wouldn't have hurt if he was around these people for longer periods of time, I guess is what I'm saying. Like maybe like later on in the series when he's sort of alone, except with like maybe Fail, like you're just like, probably would have gotten.
Yeah, if he could some like normal
revealed that he's a werewolf essentially to everyone else.
Look, here's the deal.
If he had been around more accepting people.
Perrin is hiding his gay love for Byre through shame, whereas Byre is hiding his gay love for Perrin from himself with anger. And once those two get together, what is that? Book 12? Like everybody finally calms down.
Just show who you really are. Come out of the closet. Everything's fine.
I would.
The messenger's a tinker. He shows up. Leah.
Confusing event like this whole series.
Bird lady.
Afraid of women that have
Leah
coming. Not my house. Like just
Perrin offers her some hot chocolate.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jono, what were you saying?
Like there's been like a merchant, there's been a lady, there's been this like showing up, and they never know how they get there. Like I
was actually going to mention that. He said, "How'd you know where to come?" And she said, "I just knew." And he said that, and he mentally thinks, I've asked those other people beforehand, and they all gave similar answers. Are they lying to him? Or are they literally drawn by Rand?
I feel like the answer has to be they're drawn by Rand and need, but because there's no reason to have such secrecy. Because why the fuck not?
I don't know. Moraine has a significant spy network. Land could,
yes, but so that would suggest that they're lying to him, which is not unbelievable.
Why would? Hello, stranger in the woods. Here's my secrets that I have with this Aes Sedai why would they tell him anything? Though?
Yeah, but they all said so that would mean Moraine's letters to them literally contain a line in it that says something like, hey, if somebody asks, tell them you just knew how to get here and make it mysterious.
I don't know why she wouldn't say that. She doesn't want anybody to know.
Tom, I think that we're extrapolating too much of like, why would she not? I think the answer is this is meant to be kind of like they are by their need, almost ta'veren-ness, because this is the book where ta'veren-ness seems to take over the most. Even though they're going for Moraine, Moraine's next to Rand. Like I think that this is kind of one of those things that afterwards doesn't seem to be quite so obvious.
Yeah, like maybe they are her eyes and ears, and they sense that it's her that they're like seeking out. But the reason that they're able to do it and get there is Rand. / maybe Perrin.
Do you want to know the real explanation?
Sure.
it's just the start of book 3, and Jordan still wasn't totally sure what he was doing yet, and he was never going to explain this. And
mysterious people arrive in the woods, and
there literally is no explanation for this. So when people sit around trying to figure it out, it just sounds ridiculous. He doesn't know.
What are you talking about? It's obviously women are witches, and there you go.
Telepathy.
Burn him at the stake.
Yeah, I mean, we can come up with any theory we want there, but I don't think there's a correct answer. But there's
I think there are several correct answers.
I mean,
yeah, I think there's think of to make it make sense.
Sure, but I mean, I think there's two clear front runners, and it's either Moraine is giving them instruction to not tell how they arrived at the camp, and she's been sending out little fucking doves and shit with like messages tied to their legs, or they're just drawn by Rand. Because it's not like Moraine can like physically draw them to her. So like, it's obviously not just her.
She's an artist.
Yeah. I think we're just supposed to be in awe of whatever it is that's happening. And like, oh, that's really cool. And there's no explanation.
So back to the point here. Perrin kills Leia because he says, quote,
finally,
I never have to face a Trolloc while avoiding the giant itching of herpes in his mind, which
I thought he said, Min said she's going to die anyway. Why not get it over with?
That sounds right. Tom's right.
What if every time Min saw somebody was going to die, Perrin was just like, yeah.
Well, I mean, she's dead either way. Might as well put her out of her misery.
Yeah.
And then like one day Min looks at Perrin and she's like, I sense and I can see that you are a serial killer.
These people all seem to die in a very similar way.
Bloody way. Like usually blood is cascading down their foreheads as if their heads have been smashed in with an axe and or hammer. Anyway, they bring her to the camp. A bluefinch calls. I do kind of like the detail he goes into here. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The camp setup, I mean, I think, and again, I vaguely recall this from a million years ago when we talked about it, but this camp, like the layout of the ground and like how things work, it still doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
It's a bowl, Joe.
I guess.
It's a bowl.
It seems like it's the most amazingly defended thing that you only needed like 4 people on each end and no one could ever get to you, which is going to be important for later that night.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like my imagery for it is kind of like, wow, you guys found an amazing spot, which in reality makes me think, well, that's probably pretty rare to happen, to put that mildly. But how did you get stampeded by Trollocs later too?
Wait, what?
They come down the edges of the bowl.
You do realize the edge of the bowl actually goes underneath, right? Like that's how. Like, have you seen a bowl?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
you come up over the edge of the bowl.
I mean,
first you have grappling hooks. You scale the sides of the curve of the bowl. You get to the rim of the bowl, and then you run down into the middle.
Yeah, and then
or
you
slide, depending on how smooth.
Or skateboard.
Oh yeah, or skateboard. Trollocs love skateboarding. We've gone over this many times. That's what they put in to reinvigorate the series of talking skateboarding Trollocs. Hey, Rafe Judkins has said he's going to change a few things. It's not that crazy.
I got it.
And then welcome to the camp of the Dragon Reborn.
Dragon Manor's flying in the air. Welcome to the camp of the Dragon Reborn is kind of fucking an awesome end of chapter 1.
Chapter 2, I didn't write down what it's called.
Sardine. I'm begging you to be Dragon Reborn.
God. I was waiting for you guys to finish your karaoke.
We might not finish. We might keep going. Wait.
Right.
His lifestyle is alternative. His home is in the mountains, yes. He's begging you to be.
His home is in the mountains, yes.
Yes. That's all I got for you.
All right, okay. Bird Lady talk. I mean, these are all Perrin point of views. So Bird Lady goes to talk to Moraine. Perrin hangs out with Min and Loyal, and then goes to talk to Rand. Rand makes a baby earthquake.
Okay.
Anything I want to talk about. The only thing that bothers me a little bit is that this is really the first time, like, Perrin spent the first 1.5 chapters never mentioning Rand. Like in his like just mental processes. Like I feel like there's a reason that we don't talk about everything in their minds. You know, you don't get every one of their thoughts, but it seems kind of hard to
because
it seems kind of hard
to avoid
we're not supposed
that
to know.
Oh, okay.
We're not supposed to know until the big reveal at the end of the chapter.
Oh, yeah. No, Tom's right. It's a literary thing. But yeah, that makes sense though. But then he immediately addresses it.
Inverse dramatic irony, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I guess the idea would be that you're not 100% sure that Perrin is still with Rand. But I mean, we kind of left him there at the end of the last book. So it's not.
You're supposed to be like, what's going on here? I wish I knew. Why is Perrin with the Shenarians and an old lady? And then he's like, welcome to the camp of the Dragon Reborn,
Lady Tom. And he offers her hot chocolate. It's very kind. And then they watch the New York Symphony Orchestra.
From the hole.
From the attic.
So this is
the navel of the world.
A lot of exposition. Perrin kind of explaining who he is, Min explaining who she is and what her powers are, Loyal's explaining what Taverin is.
Yeah. Loyal explaining who he himself is also.
Yeah. And then
I'm gonna write a book. And all this.
And then we get Perrin and Rand just being like, man, I'm really upset and here's why. It's because I'm the Dragon Reborn. I've got all these powers, but I have a hard time with them and shit. So basically,
did you read book 1 and 2?
Yeah. This is a giant. This is recap set up, disguised as a setup.
It is. Yeah, it is. But it's still done very well, as Jordan is apt to do. Leah is shocked that Loyal's there at all, being an Ogier, and that's kind of interesting. Does she mention Ogier being fierce enemies or something like that? And Perrin being like, what?
Perrin mentions that it's kind of that they're considered implacable enemies, but he's like, what?
He's like, I can never see that. Loyal's so peaceful,
right? Yeah. No, dude, they're fucking huge, and they will kill you if need be.
So Min sees Leah, which she assumes means she's dead, but she has blood running down her face, and she's like, she's gonna die. And and obviously, and we already kind of talked about it. Perrin and her basically have a discussion about what would you do? What are we supposed to do? And Perrin does have that impression of he senses that the way Min treats her viewings is that she has tried many times and over again to explain to people what's happening, and it's never ended well. And she's just gotten to the point where she's like, fuck, I'm not even going to say anything because it's not worth it. It'll just cause more problems than it's worth, which is fucking shitty. What she must have fucking gone through.
I would love that show. The two versions, one 12-year-old men trying to you're going to die. And then, they followed by 7-year-old men.
You're going to die.
You're going to die. The juxtaposition. And even for those who aren't
even just something as innocuous as one day you guys are going to get married. And they're 5-year-olds. And they're like, what? Yeah. And then, what do you mean?
Yeah. They actually pronounced her a witch because she said it to two men at the time, which was not allowed in Randland.
And that was Perrin and Bayer.
Thank you for that. And
Perrin's so accepting of her abilities and she's so grateful for it, basically, that later on he just assumes that she wants to fuck, and she's just like, no, you've got a wolf dick. But we're not even going to get to those chapters this time.
Yeah, not a chance, lipstick dick.
Yeah, that's why she doesn't wear makeup too at the time. She's not still into that. She's like, this makes me think of Perrin's penis. I don't think I'm gonna put lipstick on it there.
They actually have a fucking tube back then.
Yeah,
she's going to put on lipsticks, and she's just like, ew, gross. No.
Yeah, it's Perrin's penis.
Yeah.
Fucking stupid. We're idiots. We have nothing. We have nothing to talk about. I mean, nothing. It's great stuff.
What is there to say? It is like what I said.
Min resents being swept up by the boys, which I was like, that's just her not wanting to be in love with Rand and being in love with Rand. It has nothing to do with actually being swept up by Taverin.
Yeah, and but it is like we said that this is for if you never read book 1 or 2, you went to Barnes and Noble and you were like, that's a cool cover. Who the fuck would say that, by the way?
Read about this guy with a blue jean, a flowy white puffy shirt from Seinfeld, grabbing a crystal sword out of the air. That sounds interesting. Also, who is this very hairless man with no sleeves.
Yeah.
So
he's got a cool bandana, and I am a fan of Bon Jovi.
Which makes no sense.
No one should be. I'm sorry. Here's a good question.
Before that question, in theory, could men have ever found like a Bon Jovi CD in like a box, like at the bottom of the ocean or something? That's like a relic.
Could men have?
Yeah. Or somebody could have found it at the bottom of the ocean. She could have found it at a flea market.
Yes.
I feel like you're making a joke I would do. Okay. So there's a quick note here. When Min is trying to whisper to Perrin about this bitch dying, some Shannara named Musator looks at them and grins because they're kind of being, and puts his finger by his nose like he's holding a secret. So finger by his nose, it's not finger in front of his mouth like he's shing. It's just finger by nose. Is that
what you don't know? Is that a second later he zips up the chimney and then he gets his little sleigh. He flies away.
What does finger by the nose mean? Like
I don't know. That's weird.
He thinks they're fucking.
Yeah, I know, but like, what is finger by the nose? He's pretending to smell his finger and there's pussy on it. Like I don't.
You've never seen that before.
He's intimating that the finger and the nostril is his penis and pussy, and he's going,
"Oh, sex! I get it."
Huh? You know, like penis and vagina.
That's all he says. Musator's only line was cut out by Harriet.
You know, I got it. I got a pair of men. You know, like penis and vagina.
That's why Musator has never been laid before, because he thinks the penis goes right next to the hole.
Musator, where's this fucking name? What? It's insanity.
He's just like, this is how you do it.
A good song. Anyway, yeah.
This is how you do it. And then he moonwalks away.
That's my new favorite character.
Fucking Musator? Just see that guy?
Does he die in the attack later? I hope not.
I gotta look him up.
No. But he's like Glowstick Ideal, and he just puts down cardboard and starts breakdancing.
Where do you get cardboard from?
He got it inside his tent. It's not that weird.
He just lays down cardboard and he looks at.
He had it from the last.
I know what you guys are
deliveries.
doing. Is that how everybody knew to come to Moraine? That she has?
Yeah, Amazon's just. Yeah, she's been ordering shit from Amazon. Amazon.
I guess we need to vamp a little more while Jono looks up Musator, he's not going to find anything about. Yeah, I guess. I mean, Rand is just moping about his mopey life, and then he gets so upset that he makes a little earthquake. I don't know what else there is.
I remember this being like incredibly like touching, just like Rand like actually kind of revealing something to Perrin for the first time in like goddamn forever. Like just him just being like, I don't know what to do, man. I'm freaking out.
Yeah,
you know, like kind of.
I mean, yeah, it's like that, and like,
oh my god,
he's stressed out by Moraine. He's stressed out by the expectations, and then I think he's being torn apart by the feeling he has to go somewhere or do something.
It's Masuto, by the way. I'm just misreading.
I like the other one better.
I do too.
Musator is his new name.
Musator.
Yeah, I fucked that one up pretty bad, but I
Musator.
Musator.
You know, it's like a half man, half moose.
Wow.
I love that guardian of the bowl in the mountains.
I love that it's not just a Shannarian, like it's a named character that was never around before or after, and he only named it because and this is the guy that thinks Perrin and men are fucking.
Yeah, so
and he tells them that by putting his finger in his nose.
And first appeared Dragon Reborn Chapter 2. Last appeared Dragon Reborn Chapter 2.
Or the last battle. We don't know.
Nope.
Yeah.
According to this, we do know.
Well, I mean, other Shannarians. I
don't trust them, Jono.
It could be any unnamed Shannarian that's been around for all time. Yeah, exactly.
And I'm pretty sure, based on our reread, Musator is going to come up quite a few times.
I'm pretty sure. Musator is going to make it to and through the last battle.
Musator sounds better than
he might be in book 15. We don't know.
Yeah.
We're not there yet.
So anyway, I spent the last couple of minutes looking that up, so I apologize because I have misspelled the shit out of his name while writing.
So John, what was your impression of the Rand Perrin chat?
Oh, so it is one of those kind of like, I think it's the first, well, I don't know about that, but it's really one of the kind of the first visceral scene for Rand in this book, because like he's out there alone. Like you saw him briefly kind of like having just lost an argument with men over that he's lost, or with Moraine, that he's done multiple times because he wants to go save his people, but he knows that he can't, because as soon as he shows up on the fucking plains, like it'll attract attention. He'll get killed. He knows that. She said it. It's right. But that still doesn't make it easy to have people die in your name. So he is on back into his awesome fucking, stolen away hideout, which is even crazier than this bowl. And it
reminds me of the later on books, actually, like towards the very, very end, like when Moraine's like, you can't, even after, like Moraine's back and everything, like you can, it's an obvious trap from the Black Tower. Like you cannot, and the Dark Friend, like you cannot go help them, because the second you're out on the field, they'll swarm.
Yeah, I was going to say, this reminds me of Land's magical tree fort from book 1 that he just happened to find. That's like the coolest place ever. I was going to
mention that earlier. I kind of want to see that, like those, sometimes it kind of disappoints, because in my mind, when I first read the books, like Moraine and Land had been doing shit for like a lot longer than which is plotted out later on. Yeah. And it was like kind of one of those things where like, I really wish you had given them a little more room to breathe, in terms of like you could have said that, like Moraine didn't need to meet Land that early on, like Land could have been way younger. Moraine could have been doing stuff for a lot longer. She's Aes Sedai. She could be 80, not 40, you know what I mean? Like, and we just didn't know. And I was like, it kind of like ruins the mystery, sort of, in terms of like when you got that prequel novel and you kind of know what she was doing and where and what they were. And granted, that is 20 fucking years that they were kind of running around doing shit.
Even before the prequel novel, like, it can only be so long, because she was a novice when Rand was born. Accepted, I guess.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, they lock that timeline in pretty quick. And also, you don't want Moraine and Land looking for Rand for too long. It makes them look incompetent.
It's not that they were looking for Rand the whole time. I kind of just thought they had like more adventure sort of
adventures, and then they started to look. Yeah,
I don't know. I like, part of my brain just wanted this like bowl that they're in to be like, oh, me and Moraine have been here a bunch of times. Like, it's no big deal. Yeah. Like, we use this place to hide all the time.
Not to belabor the point, but if you want in there, not to belabor the point, is actually the name of our episode, because we have. But like, there's no reason. Like, the whole point is, they know that like he's born of the old blood, or born of the ancient blood, but raised by the old blood. So there could be multiple reasons they would think that. Like Almouth Plain has a history with supposedly the Tree of Life, and they could have spent a long time searching up and down that. I mean, like, again, there's 20 years, like you said, for them to have been searching for shit. This way, it kind of gives them a reason to have once been there and to have found such a fucking awesome spot. The only problem is, there's no humanity around them, which doesn't really make sense considering how many fucking, it seems like a pretty fertile area that they've holed up.
Maybe it's as simple as like they had to get from point A to point B, and they went through these mountains before, even though they're quote unquote like unpassable in certain places or something like that.
Yeah, which clearly is not true, because in the next book, people start showing up in the Two Rivers from in the Two Rivers.
Yeah.
Do you know how many secret hideouts Land has? There's tons. I mean, Land did plenty of adventuring before Moraine was around.
Adventuring.
Yeah, they were all up north, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, sexual adventuring is definitely part of it, John.
Yeah, you sometimes go to South Harbor, am I right? In the asshole.
Oh.
Anyway, so
that's the other nostril.
Yeah. Just place your finger alongside it and see if she's no.
It's finger on the left side, penis and vagina. Finger on the right side, penis in the brown hole.
Yeah. So the middle of your nose is the taint.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Which is
yeah. If you scratch the middle of your nose between your nostrils, that's a different thing entirely.
Yeah, that explains it.
It's just tickling the taint. Yeah,
moisture kind of stuck up there. That hard.
I'm glad we got to the bottom of that. All right, so Rand causes a mini earthquake.
Hold on. So you asked me a question like what did I think? Like, it's definitely just kind of depressing for Perrin to walk up and see Rand just like chanting prophecy about like, once the
it's interesting to see Rand from another person's perspective, because usually that hasn't happened yet. That's not like we're about to get a lot of that in the next several books, but like leading up to this point, it's usually been a Rand point of view, and you don't really get
very little Rand POV in this entire book.
Yeah, unfortunately, but yeah,
no, that was one of my least favorite things the first time I read it.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I agree.
All you wanted was a Rand point of view. And instead, you're going to see everyone else's. You're like,
the Rand point of views we get are fucking awesome. However, yeah, I agree.
Or insane, because he does murder some women and then like just.
I'm pretty sure those were dark friends, but
still women.
One
woman.
Yeah. Anyway,
I mean, you can kill one woman; it doesn't make you a bad person. I mean, if killing one woman makes you a bad person, then I'm a bad person like times 3.
I knew that's where that joke was going, and I was just like, what's the number he's going to throw out? Oh,
anything else for this?
Tom's claiming to have killed 3 women. Interesting.
I didn't say that.
The confession killer. So as Joe said,
horrible nickname.
Does little miniature earthquake, which is still quite fucking large, considering that it's a half mile away for like where it's felt. Because that's how
it seems like
ravine is.
It doesn't seem too insane, like right around random Perrin, but then when Perrin goes back to the people at camp, they're a little shaken up.
What is it? Just Rand?
That happens in the next chapter.
Rand just like avoiding using the one power for so long that it kind of like pushes in on him. Like what's going on here? He drops his guard for 5 seconds. Like what's going on in his mind?
He kind of just like is stuck with emotion and just kind of doesn't know what to do. But
can't control it.
I'm really disappointed that Tom has not mentioned. So I'm going to read you something verbatim here. I know that you're excited by this, but don't interrupt. Perrin almost laughed himself in confusion. If you agree with her, why in the life do you argue all the time? Because I have to do something or I'll burst like a rotted melon. Do what? If you listen to what she says, Rand gave him no chance to say they would sit there forever. Moraine says, Rand jerked erect, squeezing his head. That's it.
Thank you so much, Jono. You son of a bitch.
There was no reason to read any of that.
I know. I was like, you could have just said there's another instance of jerk direct in this chapter, but I like the dramatic read.
No, I like the dramatic reread for that.
Squeezing his head and hands too. Right, so that's added little. Yeah.
Put head in hand and jerk direct.
Yeah.
So Vale Doman was the first jerk direct.
Yeah.
Rand was the second. So based on Matt's count, we only have 7 more to go.
Very sad. Very sad.
I'm pretty sure people jerk direct before book 2.
That's what I
chapter
thought.
3.
That's not what he said, Tom. He claimed that was the first instance of it. You know what we're going to do? We're going to go back and we're going to reread book 1 and 2. All right, sorry, go ahead.
Well, we'll do that in 10 years.
All right, fine.
What's the title of chapter 3? What's the icon?
News from the plane, Tom. News from the plane.
All right.
Man, we missed that joke.
It's Perrin. I just put everybody hangs out in the camp and then goes Betty by, because that's pretty much it. I mean, they sit around and eat stew and talk about the news, and then Perrin goes to not sleep. He just stares at the top of his tent.
Wait, so what's the fallout from the earthquake?
I mean, there's been a couple injuries. Like men's hurt a little bit. They lost half their stew, which is very important. And
Leia's got cracked by a spoon.
Yeah, Leia's got a little bit of an injury, which of course Perrin's briefly like, maybe that's it. And Min's like, yeah, maybe that's why her neck's twisted around. There's blood all over her mind.
Yeah, that's it. That's her only injury.
Yeah,
she'll be totally fine from here on out.
So they eat dinner and go to bed? That's what that's tWoTcast for this week?
It's pairing back at the campfire with Min and Loyal. Except this time, Moraine and Lan have joined them, and Moraine's giving them like some tidbits of the news that the bird lady brought. Basically,
there's really, again, it's not much. It's more, it's parents kind of like mental kind of. Rand, I hope you find whatever it is you want to do, while kind of trying to avoid a little bit for Moraine, but Moraine's just kind of trying to emphasize what destiny's out there, kind of thing. There's really not a damn thing to go for.
It's not that similar from the second chapter, but now we're just also adding Lan and Moraine to the mix, kind of, and like I think when this chapter is over, we pretty much set the stage and we've met all the players that we're going to see for a little while. So, but that's kind of what's happening. Still catching the reader up on, the news of the world.
Leia brought different news. The White Cloaks have perhaps 5,000 men on Almouth Plain. Uno grunts saying that must be half their strength. Last chapter or the prologue, I said they got about 10,000 fucking dudes.
Excellent job. It's almost like you studied your math.
I did study my math, although technically 5,000 times 2, plus the fact that they already had 2,000 out there. God damn. But we'll go with 10,000 as my number.
What do you think Aaron's thinking about when he stares into the fire before he goes to bed?
Well, here we go. Let me read you a couple things. He hung up his belt, his axe and quiver on a peg, then stripped down to his small clothes. The nights were cold, but kept him from sleeping too deeply.
I mean, he really gives away what's about to happen here, but Moraine kind of informs everybody that Rand using the power is going to draw every shadow spawn, to them, and then
do you think Thane's Trollocs are in this group of Trollocs that attack?
Fuck no, they've already opened their bakery or
they're hanging out, right? They opted out.
Maybe a cupcake shop or something.
Yeah, they probably make cupcakes. I think they make cupcakes.
I don't know if they have the dexterity for that, but
sure they do. They just make them enormously sized, like in a giant pot with a giant
big cupcakes.
We make cupcakes, but they're big, and then people are just like, "Isn't this just a cake?" Anyone that says "Isn't this just a cake?"
No, because there's a wrapper.
Chopped,
and then they yell.
No, because they're the wrappers.
They're Trollocs. If anybody says "Isn't this just a cake?" they just get cut in half with a wicked sword,
and then they get put into the next cupcake.
Yeah.
It's not.
What is this interesting flavor? Nothing.
Human.
Do you like it? It's not human.
Why are these Trollocs British?
What was that British?
I don't know. I mean, it was something.
Thane's Trollocs are now British, even though I didn't do a British accent.
I've got one, but we can't. We'd have to edit it out.
So that's tWoTcast for this week. If you have any comments or questions, the best way to find us is on Twitter @tWoTcast.
Listen wherever you get your podcasts. You can email us !tWoTcast@gmail.com.
tWoTcast theme song brought to you by Taffy Bennington @SingWithTaffy on Twitter and Anarchy 101 on YouTube, and also everyone's favorite musician on Twitter of Time, Androl @Androl Genhold on Twitter and Androl Bard of Time on YouTube.
Join us next week for the Wheel of Time Book 3, The Great Hunt, Part 2, covering chapters 4 through 7. I'm Joe. You've been listening to Jono, and Tom.
Study your math.
Keep the change, you filthy animals.
Among the first to start, the tWoTcast was so smart to lovingly bash our favorite books. But that was long ago, and now they've grown the show, and now they got us in their hooks. Don't throw coins to these bastards, they need bars of gold at least. Someone please keep them afloat. Now let's listen as they once again ramble through a book. Let's get the fucking quote. One of them is Tom, but he is barely on. Sometimes he calls into the show. Another one is Jono. Is he their joker? Oh no. And Joe, is he the stupid one? Welcome to the tWoTcast. We will share our love for books and all our hate in every episode. We'll entertain you, make you laugh so hard you barely can stand up. That is the tWoTcast goal.